All right, so Mr. Ashimi, let me start with you. How much of a difference do you think that this bill will make? Because CISLAC is asking the president to assent to the bill.
Well, thank you very much, Chamberlain, for having me. The bill is going to have a very much difference. Now, I say this because the current bill we are using is actually 76 years old, and that's even older than our independence. Like, we had that before independence. So it's not structured in a way that to actually see a people-oriented 21st century policing. Now, the current bill factors in the human rights, the respect of human rights of citizens. It looks to align with the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. And it gives us grounds that shouldn't be of reasonable suspicion, like maybe the facial looks, maybe the hairstyle of someone, the dress of individuals. This shouldn't be ground of suspicion. And it also looks at the complaints response unit of the police. It actually looks at expanding and decentralizing this unit. Currently, the unit is just in the force headquarters. But what this bill looks at is actually getting it across the state commands. So if you critically look into the bill, it actually gives us an improved version and also provides 21st century policing for Nigerians. And I'll tell you, it also has a provision for community policing, in the sense that it has community forums, community police forums and board. And at divisional level, you also have community sub-boards and sub-forums. And now what this aims to do is to also have representative of the communities, the policemen police, to be part of the exchange of information with the police officers. It also has other provisions that look into the structure of the police itself. For example, it gives the IG a time to give us the financial plan of the police and also make the police more people-oriented.
In which way does this bill, this new proposition, in which way does it provide for the police to have a long-term vision of policing the state?
Okay, like I said, it creates for the police to have a mission and for it to also have like a plan. It also gives the Inspector General of Police a 5-year tenure. But this is in respect to other existing provisions. For example, if the IG is supposed to maybe retire 2 years in, of course he will retire. But what this does is for professionalism and for the IG to actually be confident and carry out his duties. It creates a period for him. He can be removed, but it really stipulates, the bill stipulates how he should be removed on gross issues of misconduct and the rest. So it gives the police like a long-term view of issues, and it makes them to actually have a plan, to have a mission statement in line with people-oriented policing, and also to have a financial plan. It restructures the police in a way that the police is more accountable to the citizens, and it also ensures transparency.
Mr. Jeffo, are you optimistic about this bill?
Yeah, thank you. I'm quite very optimistic because, like he has rightly said in some of his submissions, it secures the tenure of the Inspector General of Police for a start. You know, a situation where the president comes and removes the IG at his whims and caprices, it doesn't promote for stability. And you can see that we can pick even from the rank of a commissioner, and we lose a whole generation of professionals. And that gives cause for worry. But with this new reform bill, which I also subscribe to, that the president should assent to, it guarantees this tenure of the Inspector General of Police to enable him plan. Though I have some issues, some challenges with it, but since it has come, we should start from somewhere. The Police Council makes recommendation to the president, and the president sends to the Senate for confirmation. Like I said, that secures his tenure. And by so doing, he needs to plan. But like I said, we'll have a little challenge because it's irrespective of the fact whether the IG was to retire a year and is appointed, he has to serve out his tenure. And that means that some of the IGs some of the DIGs or AIGs who are his contemporaries will be retiring under him while he's still in office. So that's a challenge. But all the same, I think this law that has been existing, it's been long, since 1944, thereabout. And I believe that with this amendment, and if the bill is signed into law, it's going to stabilize the tenure of police and enable the police to perform.
You know, I did ask if you're optimistic about it because there's been several police committee reform reports submitted, some still on the shelf, and that's why they say, look, in that light, what makes you think that, well, looking at this, or what difference will this make compared to the previous ones, and why will it be assented to?
No, it's going to make a lot of difference. I say it will give police leadership the confidence to plan and look into the future. It's not only the structure of the police. You can see some areas of discipline that a police officer, like in your intro, you talked about this issue of extrajudicial killings. But my worry again is, if the fine of 1 million has to stand, the offender, how is he going to pay? So, but the 2-year jail term, which is strict on the person, is commendable. Of course, vicariously, I think the police will pay that fine. But again, to make it more stringent, I think if the offender has served a term that will require him getting pension, his money must be removed from it. And if the policemen in the field know that these offenses that carry such stringent position, they have to be very careful, and I think it will help us a lot.
Mr. Jeffo, let me ask you this before we move on. How much of this bill, or how much does this bill instill confidence, or can this bill instill police confidence in the people? How I mean, you will agree that it's one of the areas of challenge for the Nigerian citizen at the moment.
Yeah, it will instill confidence because the police will now become more professional and friendly. The citizens will now volunteer information, cooperate with the police, because at various levels, you know, we've been agitating for state police. But with this new bill, if it's signed into law, it's going to involve the people at the community, state, and local government level. They will now have confidence. The problem people have is that confidence building within with the police. So I think this will give people the confidence to cooperate with them and make them more professional. And I'm also happy that these measures are taking place under the current IG. So far, he has been, you know, trying to reform the police, and not a situation where the president will direct the IG to go and visit Benue, for instance, if you recall, and the IG will just go there and come back. But he has taken the initiative to be visiting the troubled areas, talking to his officers, visiting commands, and I think with this, his position will be strengthened, and police will become more professional.
Sashimi, just pardon me. If you look at the recommendations for a police officer who brutalizes, let me take the first one first. The Senate did approve a jail term of 2 years and a fine of ₦1 million for a police officer who was found to have been involved in extrajudicial killing. And then they also approved 2-year jail term and the fine of ₦5 million for any person who impersonates a police officer. So for those who think this bill appears to value or give more preference to impersonation much more than extrajudicial killing, how does that sound to you?
Yes, thank you, Chamberlain. I've seen that actually in the papers and everything, and of course these issues have been raised by Nigerians, and of course there are critical issues which need to be looked into. I think one or two tweaking can still occur on the bill to actually make it more people-oriented. And if you look at the reasons, the provisions you've just given, yeah, of course, we should put more on the extrajudicial killing than on the impersonation. But still on the bill, I want to stress that we should embrace this process. We should own the process. Of course, there will be one or two things which, as it's going to the house can actually see how to just fine-tune it and, of course, have it endorsed. One more thing I would like to add.
Yeah, before you add that,
complaints reporting.
Just hang on. Before you add that, what is CISLAC's thinking about those particular provisions? In terms of what would you rather have?
Okay, thank you. CISLAC's position on those provisions is the bill is a process, of course. Our position is that the weight should be given on issues according to how they are and as heavy as they are, in the sense that, of course, impersonating a police officer and extrajudicial killing, we all know extrajudicial killing is more weightier than impersonation of a police officer. So that should also be looked into. And little issues around gender, of course, we also feel that should also be incorporated into the bill. And that's why it's still with the House. So, of course, the bicameral legislature provides for one or two little additions and subtractions to be made to it as it passes through the House. And we, a coalition of CSOs, we are in talks with the House to see how to actually have this worked on.
Is it that you wanted to add? Go ahead then.
Okay. What I wanted to add is what this bill looks at in terms of complaints. Currently, we have the complaint response unit of the Nigerian Police Force, which is domiciled at the force headquarters. And what this unit does is to receive and forward complaints to the appropriate body. But if you look at this bill, what this bill plans to do is to decentralize this complaints response unit, to have them in each state command. And what this does is it actually makes access to these channels easier for individuals. Now, let me use some figures. Between 2015 and 2017, November 2015, when the unit was created, and 2017, the unit dealt with and received about 7,000 complaints, and out of which the unit treated close to 6,000, about 5,900. And in this, 81 officers were actually punished, dismissed, or given some measures. And if you look at that, you see it's, in terms of reality, it's actually not proportional, in the sense that we have about 300,000 police officers, and the MBS and the UNODC conducted a survey, which they released in 2017, and the survey showed that about half of adult Nigerians who encounter the police, 46%, they actually pay a bribe to the police. So if you carry that statistics and you look at it, and you look at the complaints, the dealings, the scorecard of the complaints response unit, you see that more needs to be done. And CISLAC actually conducted a mapping on the police in 2017 and 2018. And what we discovered was that there's actually low reportage of these issues. And one of these is citizens actually lack trust to come up and report these issues, one. And two, these channels are not really publicized. Now, if you decentralize the complaints response units, it will actually make these channels really accessible to the citizens. And we should commend the units because they're actually doing a great job. Via WhatsApp, via Twitter, via Facebook, BBM, emails, and calls, you can actually reach them. And now what we should be doing as citizens, as CSOs, is to help publicize this unit so that when issues come in, they're actually escalated and reported. Because that's actually where I think we can actually strengthen the police. Because you have lots of people encounter the police every day, and lots of people have issues and complaints. But what they feel is that maybe they trust nothing will happen and all this. But if we have these units in all state commands, and we have these complaints trickling in, just as the bill proposes, would actually find a solution to complaints, and would see more complaints being recorded, more complaints being resolved. And once you actually, punishment or punitive measures are being meted out to one or two officers, and they see the number and the scale in which these are done, it's actually going to reflect, and we'll see police actually behaving in line and actually abiding by the existing laws of the land.
All right, Mr. Jofo, since lots of people are not exactly happy with that particular provision about extrajudicial killing and impersonation, what would you like to see?
Yeah, I think there needs to be some rejig of that process, because one, you need to build confidence and trust of the members of the public. Like you rightly pointed out, the issue of extrajudicial killing should carry more punitive measure than the issue of impersonation. Impersonation can easily be treated. No one is not encouraging it. But if the members of the public are sensitized and the police confidence is the confidence of the people in the police, they should be able to detect impersonators, rather than this issue of extrajudicial killings, will continue, and it's on the rise. It's giving the police bad image, so it should carry more stringent punishment. Although police too, most of the times, the police authorities will be vicariously liable, like in terms of payment of compensation. We should like issues where extrajudicial killings are established, compensation should also be paid to the victim's family. It will also help the police to at least see how this indiscipline can be curtailed.
You know, for those lawyers who think that, well, look, if Section 316, you know, the criminal code is talking about murder, capital punishment, penalty for murder and things like that. So is there some sort of confusion, or should they leave that part out if it's already been taken care of in our regular laws?
No, there's no confusion in that. You see, these are issues of professional misconduct, although there are crimes like murder and this thing. But in terms of your professional calling, you are negligent, you should be punished for it, because it's giving the police bad image. The police, like I said, the greatest problem they have is image, and it stems from the failure of leadership. You can see that the current IG is doing everything possible to bring up the police. Once the image of police is enhanced, I think the members of the public should be able to cooperate with them.
He's saying that if you're found to have killed someone, police officer or not, why shouldn't they be charged for murder?
Of course, the disciplinary action taken is to ensure that the person is punished administratively. That will not stop him from being prosecuted. It goes. I've seen issues where areas where police try in orderly room and they are tried, dismissed, and still tried for murder. But I'm saying that it should also include that victims of such activity should be paid compensation, so that police will take up the responsibility of addressing its officers both at the local government, command, and national headquarters level, in terms of lectures, sensitizing them on the dangers or that the activities will bring to the police. So I think that is very, very critical, that they need to sensitize them down the line.
That's exactly the point that I want to bring us to now, Mr. Ejiofor. You are a security operative. You've been in this, for long enough to know. This reform bill that's just been passed, how does it address the concerns of the officers on the field getting the information that is coming from the leadership? How does this reform bill address the issue of retraining so that the people's confidence can increase?
Yeah, that is the point I made. It's now incumbent on the police leadership to embark on training and sensitize their officers. I think there was a video that went viral last week where a commissioner of police was addressing the officer, telling them what they were taught in the police college. There's need to re-emphasize this training aspect for them to know that the police image is at stake. And not only that, if the bill is a form to carry more stringent compensation, police will be losing funds, even though we know that they don't have sufficient funds. So it will kind of guide them in terms of their operations.